How's the shot?
Well, I'm rolling.
Yeah, cut for a second. Today is a very exciting video. We are going to be doing a head-to-head comparison between 3 of the most exciting gravel bikes on the market right now. We have the Enve Mog, the Argon 18 Dark Matter, and the Allied Able. All 3 of these bikes are kind of on, how do you say it, the kind of bleeding edge of gravel tech. I think that's a fair thing to say. The goal of the video is to kind of explain like what is good about one versus the other. All of these bikes are incredible bikes. We're here in Hoosier National Forest, it's like 20 miles, but it takes an hour to get here because we did drive all the way to Monroe County.
We have, I would say, chunkier gravel here where each of these bikes will really shine.
We're also going to be taking them all on a trail.
Plus single track. And it's more backcountry style single track. We are choosing Trail 19. It's one of the, I would say, tamer.
It's not like a Black Diamond mountain bike trail. It's like more like a blue
multi-use
chill, yeah,
national forest trail. We've been getting a decent amount of shit lately from, I mean, you know who you are.
On the internet, yeah.
Yeah, you know who you are, about our gravel here, and people say we complain about it. First of all, our gravel is fucking fabulous. We do have chunky gravel here. Personally, I love the chunk. We've been getting a lot of hate about the Yellowwood State Forest testing ground we've been using, but in reality, that road is...
It's very convenient to do the time tests on because it's consistent.
That's not what I was gonna say. I don't care about the convenience to Jesse and Trey whatsoever. I think it's more a relatable gravel road to more of the country.
Kind of what we're working with. It's not very packed. It's always loose like this. It is obviously not the whole road, but like whenever they regrade these roads out here, it does get really hairy pretty quick.
I'm trying to find a good corner. This is a really good example of what our gravel is. It's hard to show this on camera, but like Jesse mentioned, loose, dusty. These are some pretty thick.
There's always piles like this too. So, I mean, it's gravel. It's not like we're talking a downhill trail.
You could be riding along and suddenly you're in like a 3 to 4 inch deep section of gravel and you just come like grinding to a halt. Well, so it's kind of fun.
There's brake bumps too. Once we break the whiteboard out, you can see what we are going to compare.
There's no need to declare a true winner because I think each of these bikes is the best bike for someone. They are all 3 amazing bikes.
There will be a winner in each category though. I will give an opinion. If you guys want to buy anything that we are talking about in this video or any of our videos, just hit us up. Super easy. Either send us an email or DM on Instagram or whatever you want to do. We can definitely help. We've built tons of Allieds. These are our 2 best-selling bikes of the year. The Allied is #1 and the Mog is #2. And then we just got this Argon. We can sell you this bike. If you guys like this kind of content and want to support the channel, definitely buying stuff is the best way to do that. So I thought it would be appropriate in case, I know this seems weird, but if you've never like heard of this bike, we're gonna kind of go over a little bit of each bike before we start. We have a 5-mile loop that we're gonna take each bike on. This is the Enve Mog. Obviously our channel has a lot of Enve Mog content and that's for a good reason. This bike came out roughly 3 years ago, which is crazy to think about. It's been kind of the class leader of gravel bikes for a while. And it's taken until this year for other bike manufacturers to start coming out with bikes that are rivaling it, in my opinion. Enve knocked it out of the park with this thing, but it is also, again, the oldest bike on test here. It is gonna have that kind of tinted, whenever we're talking comparison, like I just wanted to make sure everyone was aware that this bike is 3 years old and it's pretty impressive that it's still one of the best gravel bikes you can get on the market right now. This one is a size 54 and I'm going to talk about that more in the geometry section. But yeah, this is my personal Enve Mog.
As we go on, like when we do more tire size comparisons, max chainring size, storage door, like we'll get into the specs.
The next bike that we have is, awesome, and it is the bike that I have the least amount of experience with, and I think that's fair to say.
You've been riding
Mogs for a
the
while.
Mog for
Like
riding,
almost 2 years.
Yeah, almost 2 years. You've been riding the Able for the majority, a really good chunk of 2025. The Argon 18 Dark Matter we've had in the store for like 2 weeks.
Yeah, so this bike, I will say I have the least amount of time on this bike. Normally, I really like to do a race or some kind of event on a bike before I like get on camera and talk about it, but that won't happen until Death March or Gravel.
Which is early November.
It's like in a month. That content is coming, so don't worry. This is such a beautiful day, and I thought it was just the right time to come do this. Me and Chase had a weekend come out and film. So this is the Dark Matter. Argon 18 is a company out of...
They have offices in Montreal and Quebec.
They've been around for a while. I think you read that they...
Like 1989.
1989, so they've been around for like 20 years. They were really big in triathlon.
That's like 30 years. 35
oh
years.
Yeah, it's 2025. You're right. I've always thought of them as more of a triathlon brand. The Dark Matter originally came out in 2018. We read their website. We just pulled this info off their website. This is the second generation of the Dark Matter. Argon 18 took a big swing with this bike. It's pretty cool that we have a bike that is so forward thinking. This bike has the most progressive geometry of all three of these, and I think that's really interesting. We're going to talk about that more. This is a bike that I'm very, very excited about. Lastly, we have the Allied Able. If you guys watch the channel, you know that we're huge fans of what Allied's doing. They're obviously out of Arkansas, and they used to make the bikes in Arkansas. With the launch of this bike, they have shifted their production over to Asia. Been really fun to see them kind of progress as a company. We've been working with them for 3 years now, selling their stuff. And this year, I know with how popular this bike has been, like I'm just super excited that they're doing great over there. Big shout out to Cole and all the guys at Allied for all the support. The bike is, in a nutshell, the most race-focused option of all three of these bikes. Even though it doesn't look like it, this is the most aggressive bike, and I'm really excited to kind of talk about the differences in all three of them. If you follow mountain biking, a lot of small brands are the ones that are usually innovating mountain bikes. I think that we have a situation where we have brands that I don't want to say like Envy's a small brand, but like obviously they're smaller than like Trek or Giant or Specialized. We have three smaller brands that have really taken gravel to the next level. In my own personal life, I had actually kind of completely quit riding gravel at a certain point. With all of these bikes coming out, I actually have really fallen back in love with doing gravel stuff again. They're so much fun. Mountain bike tires have completely transformed like what a gravel bike can be. I just wanted to give everybody credit for making these amazing bikes. What is the next thing we need to do in this video?
Pick which bike you want to ride first, and we're gonna let it rip.
Yeah, I think we should get the whiteboard.
Oh God, okay.
Yeah.
All right, we're whiteboarding.
Yeah, so we got the whiteboard. These are kind of the categories that we're gonna run through, and we're gonna do, like we said, a 5-mile loop on every bike. So one of the easiest ones is weight. Now, I don't think that weight is a huge deal with these bikes, but I will say we obviously have different setups and every bike's not really identical. But I know that everyone's going to want to know what these things weigh. I've tried to set the bikes up with like premium stuff, so it's like reasonably comparable.
Well, like every bike has an XXSL derailleur, for example.
Yeah, every bike has
a red or an XXSL crank.
Yeah, and it also has same kind of seat. The biggest difference is the wheels, but they all weigh roughly the same. I think these are the lightest wheels. Those Conti tires might be a little heavy, but so are the peyotes. So this bike is probably going to be the lightest. This is with pedals and everything.
19.64.
19.64.
Right. Dark matter is 20.39.
Cool. Okay, so the Able might be the lightest. I thought it was going to be the Mog, but
19.38.
okay. So honestly, they all weigh the same.
Yeah, it's not a huge difference there.
And obviously, you can build these bikes to be lighter than I have. This is just setups that I would use. You know, these are bikes I ride, and every bike's set up in a way that I would approve of. But it looks like the Able is the lightest frame, especially since that's a 54 Mog, and these are 56s. So I mean, the Able...
The scale doesn't lie.
Honestly, it makes sense too, because it has the lowest profile storage door, and it doesn't have any of the extra like mounting points or anything like that.
Speaking of storage doors, let's take a look, because each of these 3 bikes they all have storage doors, but they're all very different.
Very different. And so I have all the bags setting out here, because I don't usually ride with the storage bags, but I brought them all for the test. So the Mog has a mechanism here that opens to the left and then is like got these pins in it. I think these are replaceable. There's Allen keys in them, so I'm guessing they are. The door is painted, which I think is important. All of them are painted, so we're not gonna knock anybody on that. The Mog's bag, it does come with 2 of these if you buy one of these. I just only have one. Has like some little pockets in it. It's nothing too complicated.
I do like that the bag zips and it's not just like a tool roll.
Yeah.
So you don't lose things in your frame.
All of them zip on these 3 bikes, but the Mog it's definitely not the biggest on test today. But first off, this Silka inflator, the bigger one, does not fit in the bike, which is not a big deal. And then
You cannot fit a Red Bull.
This is a 8-ounce Red Bull that does not fit. I don't think that this was designed to fit that much stuff, but it does.
So I've used this, I'm notoriously anti-storage door.
Yeah.
When I did Unbound 2 years ago, I did have to use the Mog storage door. And I just had like I think my spare tube, CO2, tire lever, all that, like just jammed into that bag. And I only, what size do I ride? Just like 47.
40, whatever the smallest one is.
Yeah. Realistically, I can only fit one of these bags in my bike. And even that like was a little tight, but it was usable.
It's functional enough. I do like the mechanism. I have seen these wear out a little bit, but I also would say that I think, again, this is replaceable stuff here. So if you do have that issue, it is fine. I have had 0 issues with the Mog storage door, and
0 rattling.
Completely functional. So this one is big, and it functions off of this lever right there. It's also painted to match, which I really appreciate. But this is definitely the biggest storage compartment out of all 3 of these bikes.
So the length is longer and it's a smidge wider.
Okay, so this is stupid. None of this stuff's gonna fit.
Yeah, we chose bad things.
These are bad things.
We come prepared for fun things to throw in my bike.
Yeah, that's okay. The bag is huge. If you watch the build video for this, I did rip it, but tons of room in here. And then I also think that, again, this is the biggest opening on the bike. I did have a situation where this was a little rattly on one of the rides that I've done on this bike. But the reason it was rattly was just because this bolt was loose. And ever since I tightened that down, it is not rattly anymore. So easy to fix because it's just normal Allen key stuff. This door, I would prefer it to be a little bit smaller, but I also think that it fits the vibe of what this bike's trying to do. So I think if you're grading these off of the most stuff you can fit in the bike, the Argon's definitely going to win. The Able has the most low profile storage door. If I'm going to give my opinion, it is my favorite out of all of them. And the reason it's my favorite is it does not affect the bottle cage. So this is not really in the way at all. It clips on via 2 magnets. I've never had an issue with this. I've ridden this bike enough now to like have had an issue with this and never been a problem. Personally, this is my kind of storage door. I love that it is tiny and almost unnoticeable. This is the bag that Allied sends out. You can't fit a normal tube in here, but you can fit one of the nice fancy Tubolitos or the Pirelli Smart Tube. It does fit in here. With like mostly what I use this for is my car keys. And honestly, it's not the easiest to access. The bag does have a little bit of like structure to it, and you just kind of like shove it in there.
I feel like if you want to use your storage door like daily,
This is not
the one.
But if you're like me and you don't use it that often, it's just there. It's functional enough, but it's also not in the way. Like this one literally just is that. We do get a lot of people asking if you can get it off with a bottle. Like, yes, you can. It's just a little bit of you're gonna have to like angle it to the side like that. Never had an issue with it. Do you think it's fair to rank them off of like most stuff?
I think just watching you go through each one, I'm viewing it as size of door, ease of use is maybe like the best all-arounder. So like for me, the Able would rank the lowest because it's just general ease of use.
We're gonna rank the Allied the lowest, even though it is my personal favorite.
Yeah, size-wise and just
Ease of use for the mechanism, like if you're actually looking to use your storage door, I'm kind of thinking the Argon 18, like if you're someone, like the dark matter, if you're someone that loves using storage doors and likes putting things in them, I would view that as number 1 with the Mog a close second, personally.
I think that's fair, and because I do think that the Argon has separated itself from even the Mog in just the fact that like you can fit the most stuff in there. It has the widest opening.
Yeah, I think like, yes, I pretend like storage doors aren't real, but if you're someone that likes to use them, the dark matter's the most practical. The Mog is still really good. It's just, it is a smaller storage door.
Yeah.
So I'm just basing this one off of storage capacity if you want to load up your frame with junk.
This is my personal favorite storage door, but I will say that I do think it is one of the biggest knocks against this bike is that it is not really a storage door that is like useful for adventuring, casual riding.
It's not one that you can fit a lot of like your whole flat repair kit in it.
It's a very race focused one. It's bare essentials.
It's minimalistic.
You can tell just from the size of the bag. That resonates with me. Tire clearance, and this is probably the number one thing that we get asked about with any bike, honestly. Even mountain bikes, people are worried about it, and I'm like, they're all the same. But we have claimed, let's go through what was claimed tire clearance. This one's 50. This is 57, and that is also 57. I have in the bikes right now a 2.25 Rick that measures around 54. These peyotes are 57s, and then those are 55s. The Mog really maxes out at 55 with not so much mud clearance. So like this measures 54. These tires are very undersized from what they're labeled, but that means that they work really well on gravel bikes. It is what it is. That is fine for dry conditions. This is not probably going to fly for muddy conditions. And in the back, I do think that it is, again, fine, but if you put a bigger tire than this in the bike, you will end up rubbing it. It's hard to see that, but there's definitely room. This is the biggest I would go. Chase does ride this bike in a 49 with 55s, and I would say there's significant toe overlap.
Oh, I'm hitting my toes daily.
Yeah, so this is another situation where even me with this bike, I do have some toe overlap. But that is a thing that I'm willing to have. So is it bad? It's actually not the worst. Like, it's really not the worst in the world.
The way that I view toe overlap, especially on small bikes, is that if you want big tires, there is a little bit of a give and take. And that's how I view my size, like 47 Mog. If I want big tires, there is going to be toe overlap. You do learn to ride with it and adapt.
I also don't think that that's like the end of the world. Like, this is completely maxing out the bike. I've exceeded the max tire clearance of this bike by 4 millimeters, and it is just a small amount of toe overlap. I've never felt like it was a problem on this bike. Let's check it on the Argon. This bike currently has the biggest tires on it, and these are the 2.25 peyotes. This is kind of my favorite gravel tire right now. I guess favorite tire in general. I realize I have a mountain bike crank on here, but I don't know if that would really affect the toe overlap. It is clearing my foot, but I would expect this to have a little bit of overlap if you had like a road crank on here. I didn't have another SRAM Red Explorer wide crank, so I put this XXSL on it. Just a caveat here. This bike fits a 57 claimed, and we have one in it. That is the clearance on the fork. I do not think a 2.4 would fit in there. It would maybe fit, but it would be really close. In the back, we have plenty of clearance between the frame, and then actually plenty, I mean, it's plenty of clearance, but it's about the same as the Mog with that 225 in it. The Able, I think, has the biggest tire clearance of all three of these bikes. This is a 55 Conti Terra Adventure, and this is the road crank. It is, in my opinion, the bike that's gonna have the most clearance between your foot and the front tire. So it's basically no toe overlap. I think that this bike would have a tiny bit. This one's clearly further away than that one, is what I would say. This tire is slightly smaller also, so it's hard to say completely, but I do think that if we're gonna crown a winner, I've put a 2.4 measuring tire in this bike multiple times, and it fits. In the back, it fits. It has the most clearance between like the chainstay and the tire down there. If you've ever seen this bike with a 2.25 Aspen ST in it, actually those are 2.4s. This bike, I feel bad just like saying it wins, but I think it does have the most clearance, although this is effectively the same amount of clearance.
So the Dark Matter is a close second.
It's pretty much a tie, but there's another wrinkle to this that I don't know if you were expecting. The Mog has the ability to put this big tire in it, but it is also the ability to run a smaller tire. Whereas both of these bikes are not designed to have 40 in them. At least Argon, I don't know for sure, but like the Able has a minimum tire size of 45. And the reason they do that is because if you put a smaller tire in it, it drops the bottom bracket super low. The bike wasn't really designed to ride with those kind of tires. If you want to ride a 40 or a 45 as your tire, the Mog is the much better option for that. And if that's like your opinion, if you want to ride big tires occasionally, but ride 40s and 45s most of the time, this is the clear winner. And I think that's actually important. I think a lot of people still want to run 40s and 45s. And if you were going to run a 45, this would be the bike I would pick. I don't think we need a winner in this one. I think that just knowing that that's what the limits are of these bikes is a good way to look at it. When the Able came out, people still bought Mogs because they wanted a more traditional gravel bike, but they wanted to be able to put this size tire, you know, like a 55 whenever they wanted. It's not like they're going to run 55s all the time like me. And I think that is a really great point of why the Mog is so good. We're going to go start riding these bikes before we get into the other categories. One quick note, the reason I'm changing clothes so many times is because we're also filming a clothing video at the same time we're filming this. That's why every shot I'm going to be wearing a different shirt or whatever. So just wanted to give a heads up on that.
and I didn't realize you were taking a drink.
Oh, that's okay. So we just rode every bike 3 to 4 miles or so. Nothing too crazy. We've given everybody a star on tire clearance.
They all did a
That's like a good job.
thumbs up.
Yeah. Versatility is really interesting because you can interpret that in like a lot of different ways. The Mog has the versatility of being the best road bike out of all of these by like far.
A lot of that, its ability to have smaller tires.
Well, also it can have a front derailleur.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's amazing that that bike fits a front derailleur, to be honest with you. That does shorten the tire clearance down a little bit. Like you couldn't do the mountain bike tire and the front derailleur, but you can put a front derailleur on that bike. And Trey made a whole video about if the Mog's a good road bike. We have some more videos coming out about that. But for now, out of the 3 bikes we have here today, it's definitely the best road bike, hands down. Putting smaller tires on these gets a little tricky, and they're really more purpose-built gravel bikes. Another way to look at versatility, I'm pretty sure all these bikes can be raced. I think that the Argon is the most bike pack worthy.
What makes you say that? I mean, it has the fork mount, so does the Mog.
I think that it has the dynamo.
Oh.
Yeah, so you're right. In 2 weeks, I'm going to do a 500-mile bikepacking thing on the Mog out of the box. This bike has that dynamo ability. The Mog does not. You would have to do some aftermarket, or you could do the old
Like
wire
wrap it
around
around.
the fork kind of thing. But in terms of like, this does have internal dynamo out of the box, which is, if you want to see like what the internals of all these bikes look like, definitely just go check out all the build videos we did, because we go into super big detail. I think just purely based off the dynamo, I'm going to have to give this one the nod, although I think that the Mog is also a great candidate for some light duty bike packing. Although it's kind of funny, like I think most Mog owners are wanting it to be more racy, but I'm curious to see what happens, because part of me really likes that the Mog is almost dead center, most useful, versatile bike ever. The Mog's going to win this category just because
It checks all the boxes.
it goes all directions. Like it can go road bike, it can go racing gravel bike, it can go adventure gravel bike. Yes, it's limited, it cannot fit these big mountain bike tires, but also I think that's a strength in some regards for a lot of riders out there. So I do think that the Able is the least versatile, but it is the most purposeful. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so-
it's a purpose-built gravel race bike.
We're going to race the bikes right after we finish doing this. For now, I wanted to kind of go through all of these before we just do the race test.
Yeah, time test will be the last
The last thing. Maintenance. All of these bikes have internal routing, and this is a topic that for me, not the most relevant. Do I think some are easier to set up than others? Yeah, I actually am going to give the Argon 18 the nod on the easiest handlebar to set up. The reason is because I was able to pull the nuts of the brake lines through the stem, and you can change stem length and bar without cutting your hoses. You still have to disconnect them, but you do not have to cut them, which is a great plus. On the Mog, the way that this stem works requires routing tools to route. The Argon did not. This one, you need the blue tools to even just get it through the stem, and you cannot do it with the nuts on. You can change the handlebar, but you cannot change the stem. The Able, I think, is the most unique, and honestly, like, it's kind of my favorite of all 3.
I view it as the hardest for the home mechanic.
That's what I was going to say. The reason it's the hardest for the home mechanic, it's different. I don't think it's actually hard. The first time you do it, it's frustrating because the way it goes together is not traditional. This top piece kind of like sandwiches everything together, and the best way to install it is to kind of get the computer mount on and then get it all wrapped, and then you stick a tool here and kind of just like pry it down.
You like use it as leverage to like pull this part down.
Yeah. and you can tighten one of these bolts. Now, this has a giant benefit to it. It is the easiest to change your stem length with. Similar to the Argon 18, you do not have to cut the ends off because the hoses sit underneath here. And then whenever you take the stem off, you can just slide the hoses out the edge of the stem right here. And that way you don't have to cut or anything. Does this accomplish what it's supposed to? Yes. It's weird. I want to give this the best, but I know people are going to like hate that opinion.
Well, I feel like this is a category that you can't truly grade because everyone's going to have a different skill level, different ability on. And I mean, it's like half the people probably don't even like want to mess with their bike and they just take it to their local bike shop.
Everything's got a threaded bottom bracket here. This one's a BSA, so it's the winner of that. But frankly, all these bikes are very easy to live with. I think the Enve would have to lose because to replace the headset, you would have to cut the hoses. On these two bikes, you do not have to cut the hoses. The Argon, I think...
Which was the easiest for you to build?
The Argon.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, I think that the Argon has to be the winner of this specific category because I do think that there is a learning curve with this stem. It's not... Personally, like I said, I think this stem is amazing and I have installed a bunch of them and I really like it, but it is different and therefore likely going to create a slightly more difficult install than what was very, very, very easy on that Argon.
Ugh.
And to be completely honest, I think Envies are pretty easy to work on too. I'm just giving it third place purely because you do have to cut the hoses and use the routing tool. If you didn't have to use the routing tool, then it would be very hard to rank this. Compliance. The Able is one of the stiffest frames I've owned in a long time. And the reason it is so stiff is because it is a like purpose-built gravel racing bike. Is the frame stiff? Yes. Is this bike comfortable? 100% yes. And a lot of the comfort's coming from the tires. I would say that this is like the most pure, committed to the tires being the suspension of any of these bikes. If you're looking for the most snappy, responsive of all three of these bikes, it is 100% not even really that close. It's the Able. The frame is not as compliant as these others, but I've never been uncomfortable on this bike because the tires are so big. They make up for it. Like this is almost like a dumb category to talk about with these bikes because the tires do so much for you. Personally, I love how stiff this bike is. I want it to be stiff because I don't need it to be compliant because my tires are extremely compliant. I do think the seat post is excellent. It has great vibration dampening and it does what it's supposed to. I would run that seat post on all three of these bikes if I had extras, but I only have one of them. Argon 18, I think, has a slightly less stiff frame than the Able. It is also benefiting from the ginormous tires. If you wanted even more compliance out of your setup, the Argon 18 is going to be the bike for that. Although it is at a cost of snappiness and acceleration, the Able definitely beats it in that category. I think these are just going to be stars again.
Yeah, this is a star.
This is
category.
a star. Yeah, this is actually the most compliant frame of all of them. They frankly designed this bike around 40s and 45s. This bike was not designed around these tires. It just wasn't. It just happened to be the bike that fit these tires. And so it is noticeably the most compliant frame of the bunch. I personally quit riding gravel completely. I think all these frames are amazingly comfortable. This bike, if you're running small tires with this bike, it is very comfortable in the frame though. That's, I think, the best way to put it.
Geometry.
Okay, I think it's very clear, like, kind of the intention of these bikes, and the geometry reflects that. I'm going to start with the Able. This is actually one of the more aggressive gravel bikes on the market nowadays. This is a size 56 or medium, and it has a stack height of 575 and a reach of 400. This bike is low. It's not messing around. I think that that's like one of the things that is so cool about this bike. It's like such a focused race bike that has giant tires. And it's so much fun to ride. It's so fast. The handling is very sharp on this bike. It has a BB drop of like 80. It's super low to the ground, which is why they don't recommend you put small tires on it. And it just monster trucks over everything. It also has the slackest head angle of any of these bikes at 70.5, which I think helps a lot with that toe overlap thing. It's designed around the mountain bike tires, and it's designed to be an all-out racing bike. Whereas like the Argon 18, I think is going to be classified as the more progressive, quote unquote, bike of the three. This bike has a reach of 406, so it's like 6 millimeters longer than the Able, and a stack of 582, roughly 7 or 8 millimeters taller. This bike has the ability to do that extra tall like thing that we don't have.
We talked about that in the build video for the dark matter.
This has a 71 degree head angle. The vibe of the geometry is very much fast and focused. I don't know if Argon like calls this a race bike, but I do think that this bike would be an awesome bike to race on. Having gone back to back between these two, I think that the extra reach, I know it's only 6 millimeters, but it's kind of nice to have a little bit shorter stem on the bike. I know that's very personal, but I seriously have enjoyed having a stem that's not super long. And I think that helps with the handling, feeling really stable. I really like the extra long reach, and I think maybe in the future you might see some more bikes like keep extending the reach on these things out longer. So the Mog, I had to downsize my Mog into a 54. A size 56 Mog has a 397 reach and 587 stack. So it's about 5 millimeters taller than the Argon, and it's 12 millimeters taller than the Able. And if you noticed, I have that bike slammed. And so the reason I downsized into this 54 is this 54 has a stack of 565, and with one 10 millimeter spacer, I can have the same stacks on both these bikes. I'm not the only one that's downsized their Mog, and I think that that's completely okay. I've really liked the 54. The Mog feels the snappiest, and the reason for that is it's the shortest of all three bikes. It has a 420 length chainstay, whereas the Able has a 435 and the Argon has a 436. And part of it is that they need to fit the big tire, so that's just kind of part of the design. But what that means though is that this one definitely feels like the snappiest. It accelerates pretty quick. Those ones kind of are more long boats. I mean, this is not a cyclocross bike, but in comparison it kind of feels like a cyclocross bike. It definitely gets up and goes a little bit faster, at the one sole limitation of not being able to fit those ginormous tires.
Yeah, I think it all depends on what your personal goals are and what you want out of your bike.
I think this is the best geometry for racing. I think this is the best all-round geo for like road riding, gravel, just like most versatile racing too. Because you can, like I said, I downsized and then set this up like pretty aggressive in a more of a race mode. I think the Argon is pretty much the same as the Able, but you can make the stack on the Argon like way taller if you want. So that's kind of the way I would look at it, is like the Argon is a little bit more versatile, whereas the Able, again, is very much like race focused. And I think that's cool. There's not really a wrong answer to this. And I think it's cool that each bike has its own kind of vibe. They're all like a little bit different purchasing procedure. The Able, I think, gives you the most options. This is a custom paint job. It's not the most unique one out there. This is just the paint job I like. Allied offers a $4,500 frame, fork, stem, and seat post, and that would come with carbon clear coat, which is the lightest paint job they offer, by the way. So if you don't want to spend extra money on the paint job, you don't have to. It ends up being the most performance oriented version of the bike. But then you can basically get any paint job you want. Like a lot of people like sending their frames to like custom painters. Allied just does it in-house, and like it's super fun. Costs more money depending on how complicated. This is a metallic paint, which is a $500 upcharge on the frame. So this is like a $5,000 frame. The half and half colorways, like the Harlequin ones, are $750 additional. If you want something that's yours, and the Allied is the best way to go. The $4,500 frame is gonna end up being middle of the road in this test here. The Mog is similar to Allied in the sense that like neither of these bikes really come as completes. You can get them, but like they require like you to like pick stuff out, which is fun. And that's really what we do as a bike shop, is kind of work with this. So both of these bikes really fit in with the way that we do our business too. The Mog, there's been 6 total colors for the Mog. And
Well-
once they sell out, they're gone.
Well, no, there were 3 new colors for 2025. The previous colors were like remnants of 2024.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the sand color was 2023. There was only, it started with just one color,
Yeah,
and
so-
then they came out with the blue and the terracotta.
Yep.
And I'm expecting new colors for next year also. The Mog frame set is $4,100. This stem is $350. So we're at 450, right?
Yeah, 44.50.
4450. Add the $300 for the seat post, right?
Yeah, you're at like 47.50.
Obviously, you don't have to buy this bike with a seat post, but because Allied sends you a seat post, I'm gonna like just make it even. This is the most expensive bike out of the bunch, and it's not by a lot more than Allied. If you add a paint job, we're back.
So like it's a level playing field.
Yeah, it's fairly close. It's pretty much the same. The main benefit is that you can pick the paint job with Allied, whereas with Enve, I quite like all the paint jobs, but we obviously have an inside joke, running joke on the channel that like green Mog is all we do every day, and it's kind of true. We do build a lot of green Mogs.
By far the most popular color so
Did-
far.
Did you guys know that this was the very, very first green Mog that landed stateside?
That's cool.
Yeah, so this is like patient zero of green Mog, because whenever I was talking to them about making videos with it, the very first one that got to Ogden like went straight to me, and then we made the video with the green Mog before launch day. I feel responsible for the green Mog epidemic a little bit, but like I'm also part of it. I literally own this bike with my own money. This is my favorite bike color ever.
Same.
Yeah, no, it's like Chase has the same green Mog. Envy's expensive, it's premium brand, and I think it's cool. I mean, it comes with everything you need, and it is what it is. It's definitely not stopped people from buying them, that's for sure. The Argon's the most interesting. There's 3 build kits of this bike. There is a $3,600 GRX mechanical. There is a $4,600 rival, which is what we built, our tore apart and rebuilt. And then I think the force build is like 55 or 56.
Around there, yeah.
That force build comes with the S wheels, so they're like the cheaper carbon wheels. But still, I mean, that's a great deal.
And there is no frame option.
I asked about this. You guys have been asking me if you could just buy a frame. The answer is no. The GRX complete bike would effectively have the same MSRP as the frame would. This is Argon's like nicer carbon. They do, I don't remember what they call their carbon, but like everybody's got the same, like, so all 3 of these bikes are like premium carbon frames in the reality of the situation. I mean, this is a deal, y'all. Just a freaking deal. Like $3,600 GRX with the monster truck tires, and I mean, like, it's hard to like beat that. Like,
I view it as the best value bike out of the bunch.
I mean,
Like
it's not even close.
I would spend $46.50 and get the rival build and be very happy, and then just plan on
getting
upgrading the
some
wheels
wheels.
as
'Cause
like
you
my
don't-
first thing. Or a lot of people already have a nice wheel set that they just switch over to their new bike.
So $4,600 is getting you a full rival bike. And even though the wheels are aluminum, most people like probably have a carbon wheel set laying around that they might reuse. Just put the aluminum wheels on your old bike and sell your old bike with those aluminum wheels and keep your carbon wheels. That entire bike costs the same as these frames do. So like this is not even close. The Argon wins this category. The Allied should go in second place because it has more flexibility with its offering. Even though they're fairly close in price, I think the Enve is the most expensive. Because if you want to custom paint with Enve, like you're gonna have to spend a lot more.
Sweet.
Yeah, and so one thing I will say, if you want to do an Argon custom build, like just let me know. Because we can swap parts out. Like if you wanted like the rival with carbon wheels, like that's no problem. We can figure it out. This is my take on these bikes in terms of handling. This one feels the most like a mountain bike. This one feels the most like a race bike. Like I dare to say like aero bike. It really kind of has that on rails. It's not like on rails in the way an aero bike is, but it's like on rails in the way like it just trucks over everything. Like you can really keep a straight line with it really easily. It's super fun. The Mog is the nimble, and again, it's because of the way that it's all a little bit more compact. All three bikes do ride very differently. I think they're all incredibly amazing at the way that they do what they're good at, if that makes sense. We're gonna do the race. It's a 2 mile. It's super flat with some windy, like it's not got any sharp turns. I shouldn't have to like hit the brakes ever. And same thing, we're gonna do 300 watts. We're gonna be using this wheel set on every bike.
Enve SES 3.4
with the Ricks. And the reason we're doing that is because it's the least aero of all these wheel sets. And so it's going to just be like really focused on like the bike. I'm going to keep my hands in the same position as always. And every bike has a 44 handlebar on it. So it should be pretty fair. Which one do you think's going to win?
The Able with the dark matter in number 2 and the Mog in 3rd.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
That's my current guess. I don't want to shit on the Mog, though. I love it. That's what I own. There's mine on the ground.
I think the Able will win, but I also think that the dark matter and the Mog will not be far behind. And I could be wrong, but we're going to find out. All right, so that was 1.8 miles. That was a lot less predictable than our normal test track. There's tons of potholes and a lot of like brake bumps, but I did manage to get the wattage consistent. Going out, I did 297 watts in a time of 5:28. And coming back, I did the same 297 watts, and I had a time of 5:37. Sick. So now we're going to take the Able out. I do need to switch the wheels over, and we'll do the next one. So on the way out, the Able was 5:27, and that actually also was a watt less than my 297 wattage I've been doing. I was one off, so I was 296 on that, but it still was a second faster. On the way back, I hit the wattage right, 297, but the time was 5:35. So again, it beat it by about the same margin. Slightly faster bike, which is kind of what we thought, right? That was exactly what I thought the result would be, by the way. I think these bikes are so close, and obviously like my 1.8 mile, I mean, honestly, the road's legit. It's chunky. It has tons of potholes. Handling is factoring into this, but the times I think are lining up pretty nice there. I'm very curious how the Argon does, and I'm very curious how we're going to mount this computer to the bar. So one thing that we forgot to talk about, I don't know how to put a computer mount on the Argon 18.
I found an aftermarket computer mount that like a random company or seemingly random company makes to go on this FSA stem. I wasn't able to find a computer mount that like FSA specifically makes to go on the stem. It's the SMR2, but it looked like the computer mount kind of just plopped in kind of down here at the bottom, very similar to the Allied or Enve mounts.
I personally think that, okay, so Allied sends you a computer mount, Enve you have to buy it. We forgot to calculate that, $75 for that computer mount.
Yeah, from Enve.
Yeah, anyway, it was still more expensive regardless. But Argon doesn't even have one. And I remember what I was doing. I was looking for one, like a rubber band one, and I couldn't find one because I normally throw them away.
Yeah, we forgot to bring a computer mount for this. So
yeah.
We figure out how to attach this computer to the bike.
And what we're going to try to do is rubber band it on and hope that it stays. I think it will. It just has to survive like for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Right? I think it'll work.
There you go.
See, I need to know that. Okay.
This is outrageous.
Actually, I think that'll be good enough for the...
Okay.
Do you see how I got it like on
Yeah.
there? Yeah, like, because I really just need to see those, and then I just need to press one button. It doesn't, make sure it works.
Yeah, if anyone knows of a computer mount that works with this stem, comment down below and help us out.
The Argon was the slowest. It was 5:36 on the way out.
Oh, whoa.
Yep.
Okay, I was not expecting that.
And 5:44 on the way in.
Whoa. So it's a solid 10, 11 seconds slower.
My power was consistent. I was 296 on the way out, but that was the same as the Able power-wise. And one off is not a really that big of a deal. On the way back, I was exactly 297. Yeah, 544. The Argon is not an aero race bike. I mean, I didn't think it was, and I don't think Argon says it is either. So I guess I'm not surprised by that at all.
I said it was going to be number 2.
I'm vibing pretty well with this bike, y'all.
Jesse on one of our rides already said that he thinks there's his own dark matter in the future to keep. You mentioned that like this one reminds you of a mountain bike, which makes sense why you like it.
So the Argon, again, I have the least amount of time on this bike. A lot of people were wondering about the reach. It's so interesting, and it's such a fun vibe having a shorter stem and a longer reach. You really can notice it. I know it's like on paper it's like 6 millimeters different than the Able. I mean, it feels like a big difference. Did I think it was going to beat the Able? No. I mean, I've been saying this whole video that the Able is the fastest gravel bike on the market. I believe that. I think the Able is the literal fastest gravel race bike you can buy today. I think that it's incredible. I think that we've already proven that it's faster than like aero race bikes. I think Allied should consider doing like an aero test with it, because I think it is aero. I mean, I think it's more aero than they give it credit for, is what I'm trying to say. Let's go to the wind tunnel, Cole. The Argon has more of a blocky shape to it. It's less aero, and also it is a pound heavier. I bet that played a little bit of a role, especially on some of the climb parts. Both directions had pitches, so it wasn't just bone flat the whole way. If I had to guess, that's probably where it lost the most time. It descends just as fast as both the bikes, but I think in a straight line and also up the climb is where it's losing speed. But in terms of how enjoyable it is to ride the bike, I'm getting along with this bike very well. And I think that our time test is always interesting. It's mostly just for fun. I mean, honestly though, our data is pretty clean today. It's like pretty consistent. But what I'm trying to say is don't read too much into it. This bike, I'm really glad that I waited to include this bike in this test, because I think that the majority of people watching this video right now, if you're looking for a gravel bike that can fit mountain bike tires, the cheapest Allied is like $6,500 or $6,800, right? And that's with that's like a rival build with no paint. It's cheaper than Allied. This is significant price savings over that, and accomplishes 90% of what the Able does. And in some cases, this is a much better bike packing machine than the Able is, like we already explained. I guess we're just kind of in my opinion mode right now. If you're like looking at these 3 bikes to maybe purchase them, I just want to give you like as many details about them as I can. I feel like a lot of people in the Instagram, the thing I posted, asked me what one I would buy. And the answer is all 3 of them, but
this is where I chime in. Jesse and I both like personally own our Mogs.
yeah, we do own the Able through the business. The shop owns the Able.
And I am currently looking into buying my own Able to keep forever.
Yeah, so
they're all good bikes, and I would argue that we would actually buy all 3 which is not the answer that anyone wants to hear because it's not a helpful answer.
You know what's messed up about this is I want to own all 3 of these bikes.
That's why I'm like, this is... Which I think that's honestly really cool because all 3 of these bikes are genuinely so good and good enough that I can't pick just like one.
I think that we've hopefully made it clear enough which one might vibe with you more. I think there's a clear line between all 3 of these bikes, which is why answering this question is so hard. I want to get this one and set it up to do bike packing stuff with, you know what I mean? I am so thankful that we have these gravel bikes. I did not want anything to do with gravel until these bikes with this big tire clearance started to hit the market. In 2025, I'm not gonna lie, like I've enjoyed riding gravel more than anything else. And it's just been so much fun experimenting with a bunch of weird tires that we couldn't run before. It's been amazing to experiment with like different terrains that these bikes are good at. It's been really fun doing the YouTube channel with all the content. I mean, I'm really grateful for all y'all for being excited about this stuff too, because I know we do a lot of mountain and road stuff too, but like the channel has grown significantly, I think, because of doing content on bikes like these. It's our best selling category of bike, and huge shout out to all y'all for making this a fairly big year for the bicycle station growth wise. I recently was asked why the big tires. Somebody was like, what is the actual point of them? And to me, it's fun as hell. I like racing, I like doing that, but it's so much fun to come ride out here wherever and have this like super fast bike that can also just like monster truck over whatever you are doing. My 2 favorite gravel tires right now are not even fast. They're fast enough, but they're not like the fast ones. This is number 2, and the 225 Peyote is my favorite gravel tire.
Rick is number 2.
Yeah, and I think the Rick is a perfect pairing with the Mog, and that's what I've been really enjoying with the Mog. The big Peyote on the Able and the Argon. It's so big that you can just kind of do whatever you want. I think that there's a good vibe from every single one of these bikes. I would get the Argon 18 under these 2 circumstances. If you don't have the budget for the other bikes, this is the no-brainer option. Easy, right? If you don't want to spend upwards of 5 figures on a bike, also probably the Argon. If you want the bike that is the most bike packing, closest to like a mountain bike vibe, but still fast. I mean, it's not that slow, but you guys get what I'm saying. This is the one to get. It's fun. I really like the vibe of it. It definitely is unique in comparison to the Able, even though on paper they look similar. If you are a aspiring or hardcore gravel racer, it is my opinion that the Able is actually the fastest gravel bike on the market, and it should probably be at least in your top list of bikes to be looking into getting. I think we're still in this transition phase of people kind of getting used to the idea that a bike like this is fast, but the more people that adopt this stuff, the more I think you'll see it take footing. And like today, the Able was slightly faster than the Mog, ever so slightly faster than the Mog.
And the Mog's just always a good choice for like a do-it-all type of bike.
The Mog is the one that you would buy if you could just have one bike.
Yeah.
So the Mog gets to live in this big tire world. It's slightly compromised, right? It has toe overlap and it doesn't have good mud clearance, but it's good enough, you know? Like if you don't want to run this tire every day, then you don't have to with the Mog. And the Mog is going to be the most timeless one, if that makes sense. Historically, right? If we look back at this time in like 10 years, I do think the Mog will be the bike that people remember as the one that like kind of kickstarted this. I think that it's the one that's given people the most opportunity to kind of do what they want while still, I see more unique Mog setups than any other bike. You can set it up with this crazy stack. My dad and my uncle, like they have these like plus 12 stems with big 46 wide bars, and they absolutely love those bikes. Or you can be like Trey and set it up for like high-end elite gravel racing, or Alexi or Kyle Kalish, these guys riding these Mogs at a very high level. Excellent bikes all around.
If you have any questions about what bike like best suits your type of riding or anything, just reach out to us.
Yeah.
We've got a pretty good feel for all of these and we're happy to help.
I'm looking forward to continuing to ride these bikes. I don't know if we'll do another shootout like this again, but I do know that we will be making tons more content. About to do a big series with the Mog, and I'm sure I can come up with other things to do with my other bikes. So thank you guys again. It's
Thanks
been
for watching our bike movie.
Yeah, we really appreciate it.
Okay, bye.
Bye.